Hello, everyone, and welcome to this conversation around IGLTA Accredited. We have several hotels here, several brands here that are joining us, from their headquarters or either properties themselves. And a lot of you have already heard about IGLTA Accredited because we mentioned it at the convention. We had a session about it, and we launched it in November internally to our members, and several hotels are already in the progress of becoming accredited. But we wanted to continue pushing the program with our members because before we do a global launch of the program, we really want our members to take advantage of having that first access to IGLTA accredited before anyone else. And so today we are launching a very special promo that we're calling the First 50 promo, right? And the First 50, we'll talk about that at the end of this presentation, and it'll announce how the promo works and what the promo consists of, but it is exclusively for members and partner hotels of IGLTA, several of which are here with us in this call today. So basically, before we go into the promo, I want to give an overview of what IGLTA Accredited is, because I know that a lot of you are not familiar with it yet, even though we've mentioned it or we've sent a couple of emails about it. But I know that it takes a while for a program like this to really get in the mindset or the top of mind of people in our membership. And so I want to go through the specifics of the program, how it works, and why it exists, right? Why this program is important. So the first thing you need to know about the program is that, of course, it was developed by IGLTA, and it was developed through a panel of industry leaders and experts that have a vast experience in tourism, hospitality, and DEI education, right? So this is a thorough program that has built thorough criteria to really, give that assurance to the traveler that the people who have this seal have really done the work. And this takes us to why this program exists, right? This program really exists so that we can assure LGBTQ plus travelers find, a welcoming home away from home. No matter how far they go, they're able to find hotels across the world that have the seal of IGLTA accredited and help travelers really find those properties that will welcome them with open arms, but not just with open arms, but really, with practices in place that will assure that there won't be discrimination towards them when they visit or when they stay with these properties. But not just that, they go further above and beyond, and they really have done the work in terms of best practices. So again, the program exists to provide assurance to LGBTQ plus travelers, but it also exists to reaffirm your support as a hotel brand or as a hotel property to support inclusive spaces and inclusive experiences, right? And it also exists to verify that those properties that have the seal have walked the walk, right? And you're not just talking the talk. And the reason we say this is because we constantly hear from tourism businesses, because we are in an industry that has to do with hospitality and welcoming people from all backgrounds from all across the world, right? That, we hear from businesses all the time, of course, we want to welcome LGBTQ plus travelers, or of course that LGBTQ plus travelers are welcome here. But one thing is saying that, and one thing is having really done the work in terms of implementing best practices, in terms of adapting services, in terms of adapting products or language or training staff, in terms of really going, walking the walk, basically, when it comes to inclusion. And there's a lot that you have to walk, basically, to be able to really provide a safe space and a welcoming space to LGBTQ plus travelers. So that's, if you identify with these why pillars, with the reasoning behind this program, then it's very likely that your property or your brand is a good candidate for IGLTA accreditation, right? If you believe that your brand or your property has really walked the walk and has really done the work in terms of providing inclusive spaces to travelers, then perhaps you are already ready for accreditation. But we're going to go a little bit more into that right now, and we're going to talk about what it means to be ready for accreditation. We're going to go through the criteria that encompasses IGLTA accredited. But before we go into that, I'll just mention that this program is based on 8 brand pillars, and those 8 brand pillars that you can also see in the logo of the IGLTA accredited program are diversity, equity, inclusivity, policy, community, advocacy, transparency, and sensitivity, right? So these pillars are the ones that sort of help us guide the program, and from these pillars derive the criteria that we have designed for the program. So when I mention the criteria, this is what I'm talking about. You can find this criteria on the IGLTA accredited website, which I'm going to give you at the end of this presentation as well. But today we're going to go very briefly through each of these criteria points. But I'll just mention them now. We have publicly displayed non-discrimination policy or customer charter. We have criteria number 2, which is staff LGBTQ plus sexual orientation and non-discrimination HR policy. Criteria number 3, which is complaints, whistleblowing, and watchdog procedures. Number 4, which is dedicated LGBTQ plus customer champion. Number 5, which is an LGBTQ plus community support program and marketing strategy. Number 6, an LGBTQ plus inclusive marketing and communications. Number 7, third-party references. And number 8, completed diversity and sensitivity training. So basically, this is the criteria, but we're going to go very, briefly into each of these and what you can provide for each of these, right? To make sure, to give you an idea of whether you're ready or whether you're close to being ready or whether you're really far from being ready for accreditation, but at least you have a roadmap of the kind of things that you need to do to get there. And we have people here in this conversation with us right now who are actually experts in this and who are some of the trainers that we recommend within the accreditation program in case you have not completed this work yet. Some of our members do provide training, and we have listed these members out in the accreditation page, and I'll talk about that at the end as well. So the first one is publicly displayed non-discrimination policy or customer charter. Basically, what hotels have to provide here and what they have to upload is a non-discrimination customer charter or statement of intent that includes a clear zero tolerance policy for LGBTQ plus sexual orientation and gender identity discrimination, right? So that means a public statement that guarantees the customer or the consumer or the traveler that you are a space of non-discrimination, that there's zero tolerance policy towards discrimination because of sexual orientation and gender identity, right? We've seen some statements and some charters that do talk about non-discrimination, but they don't specifically mention sexual orientation and gender identity. And it's very important that it does mention this in order to comply with the criteria. Number 2 is the staff LGBTQ plus sexual orientation and non-discrimination HR policy. Basically, what you have here is the same as the before, but directed towards staff, right? Making sure that you're not just talking to the client when it comes to non-discrimination, but you're also internally, you have standards and you have you have policies in place for non-discrimination towards LGBTQ plus members of staff, right? And we need to see that within the staff manual or the employee handbook of the hotel, right? Number 3 is the complaints, whistleblowing, and watchdog procedures. So it's making sure that there are procedures in place in the hotel or the property regarding how you approach, how you deal with, how you remedy any type of LGBTQ plus customer complaint, or also LGBTQ plus staff complaints, right? How does the organization, handle those situations? There needs to be a procedure in place. Number 4 is a dedicated LGBTQ plus customer champion. So this basically is assigning someone within the hotel, within the property, to make sure that they are the LGBTQ plus champion of the organization, and that they are the go-to person when it comes to directing, a complaint or directing an issue regarding LGBTQ plus travelers, or if there was a complaint of discrimination, or if there is a complaint from another staff member, having an LGBTQ plus customer champion that is assigned, that's assigned these types of responsibilities. So a lot of our members have already assigned, like they already have someone like this in their organizations, and some of the ones that don't, they have, and that have started going through the accreditation process. They assign one because of the accreditation process. So this is not a difficult criteria to fulfill at all. The fifth one is the LGBTQ plus community support program and marketing strategy. So basically what this aims to prove is that you are engaged with the community, whether it's locally or globally, and that you are supporting programs that support LGBTQ plus people, either locally or globally, right? Whether that is giving in-kind contributions, whether that is a pride organization, whether that is engaging your staff with an LGBTQ plus organization locally, right? Whether that is through mentorship, or whether you work through local nonprofits or even global nonprofits that engage in LGBTQ plus issues. So if you don't yet support those programs or organizations, then and you do start doing it because you want to become accredited, we do strongly suggest that you consider supporting transgender and women's organizations, as well as organizations that deal with mental health, homelessness, and HIV and AIDS, which are big issues in the community. The sixth criteria is LGBTQ plus inclusive marketing and communications. So what you have to really provide proof of here is that your communications plan has, mentions LGBTQ plus people or represents LGBTQ plus people, right? And we need to see that in terms of, posts that you've done in social media, or campaigns that you have held, or in the communications plan that you have executed in the past 24 months, or that you plan to develop in the next 12 months. So we do want to see you represent LGBTQ plus people in what you are promoting regarding your hotel. And this is important because a lot of hotels, they have, they have come to us, of course, sometimes from a place of maybe ignorance, but they have come to us and they say, oh, but we're not an LGBTQ plus hotel, so we don't want our customers to think that we're an LGBTQ plus only hotel. And that is a completely erroneous approach, because LGBTQ plus representation is important everywhere across the spectrum, no matter what, if they're not the majority of your clientele. It is important to show diversity in the marketing that you do. So this is why this criteria exists, right? To make sure that you understand this and that you are implementing a diversity approaches to your marketing strategy. The seventh one is third-party references. So what we aim to provide, what you have to aim to provide here is basically references from customers, directly from customers, or from third-party peer-to-peer programs like TripAdvisor that come directly from LGBTQ plus people. And they have to be obviously positive references, right? Or you could also provide a verified reference from a travel agent that you've worked with, a travel agent that's LGBTQ plus, or that works with LGBTQ plus people, or a longstanding member of IGLTA can also be a valid third-party reference. So you have to provide, these references to make sure that you're not just, again, talking the talk, but rather that when LGBTQ plus people are staying with you, they really are feeling welcome. And the last criteria is is one of the trickiest in terms of completing, or the ones one of the ones we have had the most questions on, is having a completed diversity and sensitivity training, right? we want to make sure that senior management, heads of departments, and front-facing hotel staff have been trained or are going through an LGBTQ plus professional development program or training, and that they are being, that there's sensitivity training going on, or that has happened recently at the hotel. Right. So we want to make sure that that includes certain criteria within itself, like the ones you see, the 8 criteria that you see on the slide right here. So we want programs that you show us that you've gone through programs that include these types of topics, so that you can actually fulfill those criteria. And if you have not gone through training, if your property has not gone through sensitivity training, we have suggested, again, as I mentioned before, a list of different members of our membership community who do carry out this training and who we have vet to make sure that their training programs comply with our accreditation criteria. So, we have made it easy for you in case that your hotel has not yet gone through training, or the training you went through does not comply entirely with the criteria. You can definitely obtain training from one of our partners or one of our members that has that has aligned their trainings to this criteria as well. And so you can find those at our website, which I'm going to mention at the end of this presentation. So let's talk about eligibility and pricing. Again, this is a program that's aimed for now only to hotels, guest houses, and bed and breakfast than any other type of accommodation business, right? So for now, this is specifically for the hospitality sector, and we are not accrediting travel agencies. We're not accrediting the tour operators. We're not accrediting destinations. We're accrediting hotels and accommodation businesses for now, right? So any individual property worldwide can apply. They don't have to be members of IGLTA. And that's an important distinction. The membership at IGLTA is a completely different program from the IGLTA accreditation program, right? They have completely different goals, right? Membership is a community where people come to learn, do business, where they meet, where they connect with each other. And we provide services and benefits for that, right? And that's why you pay an annual membership. While accreditation is the program to make sure that you have done the work, and where we audit you, or we're not we, but we have a third-party auditor that makes sure and vets that you have really done the work and that you have everything it takes to become IGLTA accredited, right? And when I say we are not the ones that audit you, is because, of course, we have an actual auditing firm that is in charge of making sure that you comply with all the 8-point criteria. So we're working with a third-party auditor, and that is an additional assurance that this is a completely transparent process, and there's no favorites, and there's no types of benefits or perks for members, but rather that everyone has to go through the same process, and that means we can standardize these practices worldwide in a global scale. And so that's really, really good news for travelers, but also for hotels to be able to say, hey, I have really done the work and I can prove it, right? Now, the pricing of this program is based on the audit, right? We're not, as IGLTA, we're not really making any money off of this. It's not a revenue stream for us, but rather what we're doing is we're using that fee to pay for the audit. Or what you're doing is, when you pay IGLTA for accreditation, is what you're really paying for is an audit. You're basically saying, hey, tell me, make sure, audit me to make sure that I'm doing the work, right? And that is what the annual fee is for. So basically, the fee is standardized worldwide. It doesn't matter if you're a small hotel or a large hotel. It's the same fee for everyone. It's $299 a year. In the first year, or the first time you apply for accreditation, there is a $200 admin fee. This is a one-time fee. So in total, for the first time you apply for accreditation, it is a fee of $499. And again, what you really are paying for is to become audited, right? Oh, sorry, to get an audit. And when I talk about audit, it doesn't mean that you will upload all the documents and, and that to try and meet the criteria, and the auditor will, either say, yes, you can be accredited, or no, you can't be accredited, and that's it. And then your money's gone, and you have to apply again. No, you're going to be working with the auditor in case you don't meet the criteria yet. So you can start applying now, even if you feel that maybe there's part of the criteria that you feel you're not so sure about, but you can submit it, and the auditor can tell you, hey, you're missing this. There's something here. There's part of the criteria number 4 is incomplete, and I need you to submit X or Y, right? And so what you're going to be doing is working with the auditor so that the auditor can determine whether you're eligible for accreditation or not. But you're not going to have a single shot and that's it, right? It's not an exam. This is a process that you start basically to make sure that you comply with everything, right? So we really do encourage you to go ahead and start registering now, even if you may feel like 1 or 2 of the parts of the criteria may not be complete, or you think that you're not completely there yet, but you're not sure what you're missing. Then, by all means, go into the program, apply for accreditation, start the audit process, and let the auditor tell you if you do or you do not comply. And if you don't comply, what is it that you're really missing? And so now we go into the very, the fun part of today's lunch, which is the first 50 promo, right? The first 50 accredited hotels promo. And what we mean by this is that we are only allowing members and global partner hotels to be accredited for now. And we want to reach those first 50 accredited hotels so that we can tell the world that the IGLTA membership community and the IGLTA partnership community really is the most committed community towards welcoming LGBTQ plus travelers. So we really want to give you that distinction as well. And with that distinction will come a series of perks, right? Because, we are going to be releasing, press releases, communication releases, so that will give you free press and, hundreds of thousands of dollars probably in marketing value through free press, right? It's by your hotel getting mentioned, by your property specifically being mentioned. We're going to post your hotels on the IGLTA accredited website as the first 50 hotels that got accredited. We're going to also promote your hotels or those first 50 hotels in all IGLTA networking events during the year. And of course, in our convention in Puerto Rico, we're going to have a space where we specifically name and, sort of highlight those first 50 hotels that become accredited. And one of the most important parts of this promo is that we're going to do a Pride Month announcement so that during Pride Month, we celebrate those first 50 hotels that have really committed to becoming IGLTA accredited and doing the work to be more inclusive and to assure those travelers during Pride Month that these hotels are great hotels for them to stay in during their Pride Month celebrations. And so that means that Pride Month is the deadline for submitting your hotel for accreditation, meaning that June 1st is the last day that you can submit your hotel for accreditation if you want to be part of the first 50 hotels. Now, one last thing. A lot of people have asked us, and you can see all the frequently asked questions that we have on the IGLTA accredited website, which you can find more on here on iglta.org/IGLTA-accredited. You're going to find frequently asked questions. You're going to find our trainers, our members that are trainers that are complying with the training criteria. You're going to find how to apply to accreditation step by step. You're going to find this webinar. We're going to upload this webinar onto the accreditation site. So you're going to find all these resources and all the information you need, either to send to your properties if you're a global brand that's watching us right now, or either to send to other people in your staff if you're a property that's highly interested, but you need to convince the management level or the director or the general manager of the hotel to make sure that you're all aligned. So everything that regards the program, you can find it there. And of course, if you don't find it there, you can always email anyone in the staff, or you can also send an email to accreditation@IGLTA. That is accreditation.iglta.org. But I was going to answer one very frequently asked question regarding accreditation, and is how long the process takes once you apply to accreditation. How long does it take to get accredited? That is one of our most asked questions, and it really depends on you, right? So we can promise that if you comply with all the accreditation criteria, you can get accredited as fast as 2 or 3 business days, right? So that's our promise, that by the first 2 or 3 business days that you submit all the documentation, you will have a response from our auditor regarding if you can get accredited, or if you're missing documents, or if you're missing parts of your documents, or if you're not complying entirely with one criteria or another. So if you do have missing parts or missing information in your documents when they're sent back up to 3 business days after you submit them, then it really depends on you how long you take to adapt those documents, to change them, to include new things, to adapt the different set of criteria to make sure you're complying with it. And that could take anywhere between 1 week and 6 months, right? Because, or even longer, because if you haven't completed training successfully, and that's one of the things that is holding you back from being accredited, that means that you're going to have to get a trainer to complete the training for you and going through into a new program, and that could take several months to carry out. So it really does depend on you, but we promise that you will have a response within 3 business days. So that's it for now. That's the promo, and I'm really glad that you were here to listen to it. And now I'm going to be taking any questions from the audience, but I'm also going to be stopping this recording. And again, just go into the website, follow all the information, or email us if you have any specific questions. Thank you for listening.